Hello, everybody. I think this is working, but I'm not really sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Laybella Ralston, and good afternoon. It is July 22nd at 3 o'clock. So I am doing a live broadcast, basically, kind of just like testing everything for tomorrow's live class, because we're going to have a live class tomorrow. So I just want to make sure I have everything set up. So if you are watching this, please do let me know if my mic is working, if you can hear me. That would be really, really helpful. Sometimes technology can be a little tricky. It can be kind of like sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. It's so crazy how that works. But anyways, good afternoon, everybody. Like what I said, when I've been using this software for a very long time. If any of you out there have been thinking of maybe doing any type of live stream and you want to do something like this where everything is kind of like set up, it's almost like having your own presentation. It's really fun. I'm not always so very good at it because it takes a lot of work, and sometimes I'm very, very lazy. So I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just trying to be honest. But since I'm doing, live classes again for Faber-Castell and myself, I want to do more streaming, more live art, more fun, kind of just like live broadcasts, plan with me's, bullet journals, anything that has to do with any creative projects, so I've been thinking of doing that. That's why I've actually put together just kind of like a presentation, frames and everything for live classes like this. All right, so I figured since we're doing just sample broadcasts like this, I figured I'll share with you some of my sketchbook, because I have been planning on doing a sketchbook flip through anyways, but I just haven't gotten to that, but because I've been really, really busy. But I want to share with you just my current sketchbook, what I have been using. And okay, I know I do have a video that talked about all my sketchbook that I'm using this year. If you are on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, you definitely can see that there. But I'm just currently pulling out all my sketchbook. Well, I'm not going to go through all of it because there's going to be a whole lot, but the ones that I have kind of filled up. So we're just going to go through that, what kind of brand, what I love about it, what I don't really love about it. But most of them I really do love, and I'm so not good at technical stuff. I know I need to get better at that. I know, just be kind, but I'm trying. But we're just going to we're going to figure this out together. Okay. So let's start with my mini one. This one, I think I kind of did a little bit of flip through on YouTube, but not really. So this one is from Art Creation. I have two with two different sizes. So this one is the smaller one. It's a square size, which I really like because it's very small. That you're actually able to fill it without, being overwhelmed because there's just a big space. So it's really a good size. Now I understand if you're like making like big art, landscapes, then you'll definitely not gonna love the size of the square. Especially if you're, a landscape artist, that's definitely not something that you're going to enjoy. But I love it because, I love kawaii and whimsical stuff like that. So here we're going to zoom it in just so we can see it much better. All right. So this one is the Art Creations from Royal Talons. I don't really know how many page there is in here. And to be honest with you, like when I said, I'm terrible at putting like dates when I've actually finished it. But I know it's just sometime, maybe last month, we can just put it in June of 2025. But I started it February 6th of 2024. However, when I play in my sketchbook, how I like to do things is I love having lots of sketchbook because I tell you what, because if you're working with kind of like watercolors, so if you're going to work on this sketchbook and you're working with watercolors, any water soluble, materials, and it's still wet, there's that drying time that sometimes is a little, if you're like me, if you're impatient, then you know what I'm talking about. So you want to just kind of like move on to the next. That is why having lots of sketchbook around is really handy when it comes to that stuff. All right, so my sketchbook isn't perfect. I'm not one of those sketchbook artists that is just absolutely amazing. They create, they create like masterpiece in their sketchbook. Mine is not. It really is a place where I play, I am exploring, I'm trying new mediums, I am trying different color palettes, different color combination, different blends and all that. So that is what my sketchbook is about. And I also love to swatch my art supplies, for no apparent reason. And most of the time I do that when I'm like procrastinating when doing something. But okay, so so this is the first page. I added some stickers in here. This is Sheldon. He's an OG, my OC. I'm sorry. I'm so old. I don't even know those terms. So OC, original character. So he's an OC. He's a turtle that's wearing this pinwheel hat with that little helicopter thingy. I love it. I love it so much. Actually, this is my husband's favorite character. My favorite, used to be my favorite, was my unicorn. Unicorn. So her name was Blossom. But after a while, because it was so hard to draw her, when I designed the character, I didn't think about, because of course I was still very new, but I didn't think about how you can repeat this character over and over again, and so how fast can you create the character. So when I created her, I really just I put in hair everywhere, many different lines, but I know I can kind of like, go back in and maybe try and simplify her, but we'll figure it. We'll see. All right, so first page, we have my Caran d'Ache, my Neo Colors 2. I just swatched everything in here. Pretty sure it's not everything, but maybe that's what I had back then when I bought this sketchbook. And then then more colors in here. And as you can see, I don't use a pencil board. And this is something that I have learned. I really need to start using pencil board because I use a lot of colored pencils. And, and I have heavy hands. So when I kind of like use the next page of my sketchbook, I put in so much pressure. And so if I am doing this is colored pencil, I am transferring everything from this to this side. As you can see, it kind of like made a transfer of whatever I drew on this side of the page to this, because I believe that these are Neo Colors. So Neo Color 2 is this one. So it's water soluble. You can use it. It's a water soluble wax pastel. So it looks like a crayon, but trust me, this is really expensive in price, but it's so fun to work with. And so this is Caran d'Ache in here, and I know parts of the strawberry I did blend with water, so you can use both. You can use just kind of like a regular pastel, or you can blend it with water, just kind of like a watercolor. And then I was trying my Pit Artist in here, just trying the soft brush, trying other markers, Pentel brush. It's really nice it's a really good practice to start doing that if you have like a new sketchbook, and then grab your favorite art supplies and see which one bleed through, which one blends much better in this sketchbook. And that's only if you like to play around with different sketchbook. But if you have found your favorite, and I commend you, I wish I can just kind of like stick to one sketchbook, but since I love playing around with many different stationaries, I still kind of like to do a lot of pen test and a lot of playing in my sketchbook just to find out which medium works best in there, and all that fun stuff, and which brand as well. So I have a lot of fun doodles like this, definitely not perfect, not not finished, but a lot of like fun doodles like these. And then if you haven't noticed yet, I do have this particular style of art. I really love the kawaii style, but I'm slowly leaning towards that more of a picture book style illustration. If you look at, children's book, and you're going to see all of these drawings, of course they're all different, but most of the time you're going to see a lot of different textures. And so I have been slowly working my way or learning my way through that style of artwork, and it hasn't been easy because kawaii style is very minimal, almost like your lines has to be like perfect lines, right? When it comes to the whimsical, very enchanting picture book style illustration, it almost has to look so imperfect for it to look perfect. That does not make sense, but I promise you it's that. It's like you have to be really loose, and with your lines and all that symmetry, so nothing is perfect. But then again, just depending on what you like, of course, because art is subjective, and we're never the same. So and then we have sample, just kind of like little journaling pages like this, where you feel like I don't know what to draw, but so these are really nice practice, just very relaxing. This one I can see with the type of ink, this is probably some highlighters, most probably highlighters, because I can see the way the inks are, so that's probably highlighters. And then this one was really fun. I mean, look how simple this is. I just kind of like use different colors, and then I filled in some of the spaces in between. Think about it. What is the lesson? What is the lesson that the universe is trying to teach me now? Or never stop believing in yourself. So positive quotes like that. I love putting that in my journals and in my sketchbook. It's almost like a commonplace notebook also. In the journaling world, there's a term for a journal or a notebook. It's called a commonplace, where you just put in everything: doodles, pictures, journals, recipes, poems, movies, titles, everything. So it's called a commonplace. So I guess my sketchbook is almost like a commonplace notebook also. So we have tons of swatches in here, and then as you can see, alcohol markers will bleed through, but most of the time alcohol markers will bleed through except for like very few special journals that are really meant for alcohol markers, if that makes any sense. So most of the sketchbook I own, no matter how thick it is, even the watercolor, the really thick pages, or a heavy mixed media sketchbook, alcohol markers will bleed through, and it's okay. You just kind of like just have to plan, the way you use them. So this one bleed through, but it's so much fun because you will never see the strokes if you're just using like highlighters or just any regular type of markers. That is the beauty of the alcohol markers. I have the way the ink blend and get absorbed by the sketchbook or by the paper, you get little or if none, of that stroke. So it's really beautiful and it's fun to play around with. All right, I guess this page, I was just kind of like playing around with colored pencils, and then this is the Neo Colors 2, more colored pencils. I don't know if I should zoom in just a little bit more so we can see. Two different style. This is going to be alcohol markers, and this one is like pure colored pencils, but it's so darn cute. Everything's so cute. Okay, then more colored pencils, and then more Neo Colors. I should really bring this with me when I go to maybe a Blick Art, an art store, so I actually know what colors I have, because I'm terrible at that, knowing which ones I have. These are just full of stickers. I believe that these are Faber-Castell art crayons, the gelatos. So gelatos as well. More letterings. These are swatches of the Caran d'Ache luminance pencils. I love the luminance pencils as well. I really do. It's almost like pastel pencil when you use it. Yeah, is that really has this different type of texture. It's like almost chalky. So it really is very close to the Pitt pastel pencils. So yeah, I love it. Okay, now this next page is the Gold Faber pencils. Okay, so the Gold Faber pencils. And then I believe these ones, you see, everything is like just mix of everything. Looking at this, I know, because there's a certain look for the Caran d'Ache, the luminance pencils. I know that these are luminance pencils. You know what? I should put it in there. Yeah, they just have this certain look to it. I just kind of know already. And also when I'm using like the polychromos pencils, I know because it's an oil base, and then the luminance is wax base, but it's very different. Very different. Okay, so this one is like a playing, a play page here. As you can see, I was playing around with gelato. It's different mediums in here. I have the acrylic gouache, the Holbein underneath. So this is a really good practice also for some of you who would like to keep a sketchbook, is that really have a page where you're just mixing media, understanding what medium can go on top of which medium, right? So this one is that this page is for. Okay, next one would be oil pastels. Now, remember I talked about loving textures and learning how to use more textures in my artwork. So I am trying to embrace the mess of oil pastels. So I have it here on my desk because I want to practice with it more, but it is really messy. It's like really messy, but the textures you get from it is really fun. Also another thing that I don't really love about the pastels is like they really transfer. It's crazy. So this one I put some Mod Podge on top. I should have used the matte, but this one is like glossy, so you can see a little bit of that gloss on top of it. I mean, it's okay. This one I did use the Caran d'Ache pencils, but as I can see, I wasn't patient enough, so it did a little bit. It transferred just a little bit. Okay, now looking at these, I can already tell that these are polychromos pencils from Faber-Castell. No, I was wrong. Oh my gosh. Look, this is the black edition pencils. So it's a little muted. Now I'm here. I can see that it's less pigmented. But over here, I could swear it's the polychromos. No, it's the black edition, which is really, really inexpensive pencils, but it's so creamy, it's soft, it's really fun to play with. I actually have it here. So this is that. So the black edition colored pencils. I could have sworn that was the polychromos. How embarrassing. Okay, this one, I'm not sure what I used. I actually cannot tell you. Probably mixed of everything. That's a mix of everything there. Okay, this one I was smart enough. I put in which one I used. Okay, so I have the Caran d'Ache, the Neo Colored 2. I used it in this one. This is a good comparison, guys, so you can see. So this is using the Caran d'Ache pencils. This one. And then this one is using the Albrecht. It's hard to pronounce. Albrecht Dürer. That is the watercolor pencils from Faber-Castell. That's an amazing product. If you're looking for not water-soluble pencils, okay, watercolor pencils that will give you still that watercolor effect, that, slightly translucent because it's a watercolor. Then the Albrecht, God, that's hard to pronounce. Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils from Faber-Castell. Really, really good. As you can see, you can use it wet. So what I did was I applied it, the pencils, just like regular pencils, and then used some water and blended it. And then I went on top of it again and used the same pencils, used the same products, and added more textures in here. But look at how vibrant and opaque and just gorgeous this is. I mean, you can go as, you know, translucent if you would like, but you can go and layer and pack in the pigments in there for a more opaque finish. Okay, this one, I'm not sure. Probably a mix of everything. Pretty sure. All right, Karen markers, I guess I said not opaque enough. For an acrylic marker, I agree. That does not look like opaque enough. All right, so Fibrallo, if that's how you pronounce it, or Fibrello, don't know, but it's from Caran d'Ache. I only have one color of this one. It's a brush pen. It's actually fun. It's a little too soft for me, but it's fun. Okay, this one, I don't know what this is, but it's fun. This should be an Albrecht Dürer, maybe. But we'll just flip through that. I will not remember every single products I use unless I put it down. Okay, then we have Santa over here. And then working on my outfits. I am terrible when it comes to outfits. That's something I'm trying to work on this year, is draw more outfits, right? Clothes. Because when I did the kawaii style of artwork, it's just very minimal, like what I said, very simple. So I have gotten so used to it, and then I didn't practice enough, and it's just, I got lazy, I got complacent. So, you know, that's something that we can improve on, and we need something that we can always improve on, and outfit is one of them. All right, so this one, oh, look how adorable this bear is. Has a little wing too, just kind of like this bee. It's so cute. I love it. I love it so much. All right. This one, I believe I did a video for this one. I made a video for that one for YouTube. This one I used polychromos pencils, 100%, pretty sure of that. And then we have all of these. It looks like, now that I'm flipping through the pages, I feel like I'm reading like a children's book. Come on, give it to me, guys. But this is so cute. I want to show you all the textures in here. Don't know if it will like show up, but I hope so. Look at all of that texture. Now, I'm pretty sure it's a mix of everything in here, because I can see like gold. Maybe I used like acrylic markers in here. I'm pretty sure I used some sort of water soluble, if not watercolor, because that's something that I have really been enjoying, is that using watercolor and then pencils for textures on top. So I love that. But let's look at that bear, because that bear was so darn cute. Oh, and then sometimes I would draw stuff like this. It's more like realistic, but that's the closest to realistic, because I don't think I can ever draw anything realistic, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I'll ever get there, but you know, maybe in my next lifetime. But right now I can say I don't think I'll ever learn how to draw anything realistic. But I admire people who do. But I really, really do. Okay, so more fun stuff in here. Pretty sure Caran d'Ache. Drawing. This one, I'm pretty sure I was trying to draw a lime, but now I'm looking at this, it's looking like an avocado to me. Okay, and then more pencil fun. Pretty sure this is a polychromos pencil. It's from Faber-Castell. Yep, definitely polychromos. So this is where, you know, I'm slowly starting to be more confident when it comes to that adding texture stuff in here. But still have a lot to learn. This one is acrylic marker from Edding, because look how opaque that thing is. Whoa, that's like an acrylic gouache, right? So, and then some lettering, some swatches, more fun stuff. This is definitely one of those play page right here. More pencils. This one is some gouache. I did play around with some gouache. Whoa, that is so bright. This one is, oh gosh, what do you call this? It's not the gelatos, but I did make a video about this one. It's the tempera paint sticks. Yeah, those are fun. Where are those? I need to start playing with those again because it's really fun. So these are all tempera paint sticks. I mean, it's creamy, but it's not, you cannot smudge it like how you would with the gelatos, because the tempera paint sticks, they dry so fast, like so fast. So then with that, you know, being said, you don't have to worry about transfers or anything like that. You know, there's not a whole lot of wait time. You don't have to seal your painting or your drawing because you're afraid of transfers, because they dry extremely fast. So, I mean, you know, with keeping that in mind, then you kind of like plan around how you would use the product, but it's really fun. I should play around with that more. Now here practicing how to draw more trees. I still don't know how to draw trees. And you have swatches in here of some inks, fountain pen inks that I have purchased. I think these are samples. Yeah. I think this one is gelato. Yeah. There's no transfer, so that's always fun. Gelatos are, you know, really creamy, really pigmented, really smudgeable, and water soluble, so you can use it wet and you can use it dry, but they don't transfer as long as you blend it well. Does that make sense? So if you give it enough time to dry after blending, you don't have to worry about transfers with the gelatos. But they're just very different, you know. They're more translucent than, you know, compared to the tempera paint sticks. You can see it here. So it's more like a watercolory effect with the gelatos. I mean, both are really fun. Over here we have some crazy birds happening. I guess I was in my bird era here, so I'm practicing different type of birds. It's fun. And then I feel like the last few days I was in my lettering kick, and so I've used all the pages, just kind of like filling this out with some lettering quotes. Take up space, don't apologize, too bright. Yeah, definitely. I feel like this is a, what do you call that? Is that a Pentel brush marker, I think? So I can, yeah, I think so, because I can see it with that brush strokes. So yeah, all of that is going to be just like that, doodles and more lettering stuff. So I definitely need to get one more, another small size like this, because it's really fun, you know, having just that one small size. Okay, so that's filled. Next one would be the same brand. This is also from Royal Talons, the art creation. This one is like an A5 size. So again, as you can see, I have gelatos in here. Okay, so not gelatos, I mean, I have swatches in here. I'm going to be honest with you, this is one of those things that I struggle with, is choosing a color palette to be, you know, when you look at that color palette, you think of me. Does that make sense? Or when I look at this color palette, I think of me as an artist, myself. And that's something I struggle with. I really, really love colors. I love colors, but I guess if I can pick just colors, this would be it. You know, some, I guess you can see it all over my screen. I love oranges and yellows and pinks, and then I love the teals. I love every color. So, but what I did was I tried to find different mediums in the same color palette. So that's what you're seeing here. So we have the Holbein acrylic gouache. I looked for the same colors in the Neo Colors, Caran d'Ache, and then these are the Faber-Castell polychromos, and then these are the Prismacolor pencils. So just kind of like tried looking for the same palette and different mediums and different brands as well. So yep, I love this color. I mean, it's crazy, it's chaotic, but I just love it. All right, so this page right here, I think I was in the mood to really create something here. So went to Sephora, got some of my favorite Dior makeup. I love Dior. I love Dior. Okay, this one, don't know which product I use, but I really love the colors in this one. It's pop. It's very bright. It's very happy. Love that one. Okay, and then, you know, this is what happens when I have like a brand new sketchbook. I'm so into it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put in so perfect drawings in here. And as you can see, the more we go, you're like, yep, yep. Okay, it's not new anymore. Now I can just kind of like just play around with it and do more swatches or do whatever in here. So I have brush lettering practices in here, watercolors, some stickers. This one I use the Faber-Castell gelatos in here. I'm pretty sure of it. And I believe that I did a class with my creative friends when I was doing like a art club. So we would meet every week and we would do classes like this. So that's definitely one of those classes that we've created. And then I love using my sketchbook also when I'm creating contents on social media, for social media. So this is definitely something for social media if you haven't seen any of those videos. But this one I use the Pit Artist pens. Love it. Pretty sure Pit Artist pens, maybe, I don't know. And then I'm trying different mediums. I don't know which markers are these, but I really don't like how it stains and how I cannot blend it after I apply, the water soluble dye inks. I just can't remember which brand. I should have probably put it in there. Don't know what happened there, but I guess I've been practicing and practicing how to do that ice cream. But still looks the same. Okay, then we have some doodles in here. And most of the time, I love to sketch in my sketchbook. I love to do type of just kind of like simple sketches. And then when I'm like, have some time to play and just relax, I would go back in and then color it in, with some watercolors or markers. So it's really nice to have that instead of just kind of like, I'm going to sit here and like, what am I going to do now? But if you did, a little bit of sketches and then you can always go back in, then you have something to play around with, Does that make sense? This one is, this is the Gold Faber Aqua markers. So if you have the Tombow dual brush pens, they're very similar to that. It's a water-based dye ink, so the colors really pop. Look at that. Those are really fun colors. These are acrylic markers from Edding. Not sure which marker. Can't tell you. I have a little bit of pencils. I'm pretty sure that's Faber-Castell's products. So some fun doodles here. Different types of brushes. I made a video about all my favorite brush pens for brush lettering. You can find it here on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. That should be here. And then this one is the sea creatures that I created. So this is the class that I'll be teaching tomorrow. We'll be using some alcohol markers, definitely alcohol markers. I use the Faber-Castell Gold Faber sketch marker. It doesn't matter which brand, but that's what I use. So we'll learn how to create some fun kawaii sea creatures like this. So this is our class for tomorrow. And I'm going to go live at 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern time. So, and I hope to see you there. This one I used some acrylic paints. This one I was practicing just placement of flowers. I'll color that in. One of these days I'll do that. Some strawberry. I made a video of this one also here on YouTube. You can watch that one. And then this is when, if I'm watching a TV, some shows or anything like that, I would just bring a marker with me. It looks like this one is not a 1.5, not a bullet tip though. Very close. So maybe 0.8, I think, by the nib of this one. So, it's nice to do drawing practice like this one also without using pencils. Just kind of like go for it, because it's really scary to go for it, when you're like, ooh, I don't know if my lines are going to be, right, it's going to be wonky, but just kind of like really just practice, just doodle. And that's what doodle is, like mindful, just drawing lines, making marks on the page, and it's just really, really fun. So just black doodling in here. Then I went back in, like what I said, you know, when I have time to kill, I would just go back in and just color, you know, past sketches that I've created or past doodles like that. This is me trying to practice how to draw an elephant or different placement. This is sitting, laying down on the side, you know, playing with another friend, because I promised myself this year I'm going to learn, I'm going to draw a book or a picture book, or maybe not this year, but at least this year I'm going to try. Okay, so this one, more of that whimsical, trying to draw items in here. So cute, elephant. That's so cute. This is definitely a practice page. Looks like some acrylic paints in here. I know when it's an acrylic paint because it's glossy. It's glossy, and that's what acrylic paint is. Aside from it being metallic, it's still very glossy. It has this certain finish that I know when it's an acrylic paint. It's crazy. Watercolors, definitely a mess. Oh, this look like a mess. More watercolor playing. Colored pencils. Not sure which marker those are, but more fun, more playing. This is definitely a mixed media right here. I love this page. This is Toby. My niece has a son, and he's my grandniece, I suppose. I don't know, but that's him playing with his little hermit crab. The hermit crab is there. It looks like Hawaii. That one that go to the islands. Okay, so I believe that's the last one. Oh no, when I did my swatching with all the gelatos that I have, I still owe you this video, YouTube. So I'm gonna upload that soon. Edit that video and upload. So I have a couple more pages in here, but so these are my sketchbook, both from Royal Talents Art Creation. Really, really highly recommend it for just sketchbook playing, you know. As you can see, I use different types of medium. I use acrylic paints in here. I used watercolors. I used water soluble pastels in here. It definitely can take it, but you know, of course, the paper is going to warp a little bit and all that because it's not really meant for that. But you know, it's still was able to take all of that medium, so I'm okay with that, right? Okay, I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot of time to finish all of these, but at least I shared with you two of my favorite sketchbooks, and then we'll talk about the rest very, very soon. But thank you so much for hanging out with me, just kind of like flipping through all of that. But this one is from Moleskine, so I love the Moleskine also. I'll just tell you the brand before I say goodbye. So this one is from Moleskine. I believe that this one is the watercolor edition. So Moleskine watercolor edition. This one is the Mossery sketchbook. It's a, I can't say it's watercolor because I don't really like this with watercolor. I know I did talk about this on the YouTube video that I made, but for crazy reason, I do not like using this with watercolors, but I love using it with gouache and colored pencils on top. So I'm going to leave you with this one, but that's what we have in here. But I thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you for helping me with the test. You know, I was able to figure out all my text placement in there, so that was really, really helpful. But thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you'll join tomorrow because like what I've mentioned, we're doing that live class tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central and then 6 o'clock Eastern time. Okay, so I will see you again tomorrow for that fun class. You can bring your favorite mediums, but like what I said, I'll be using my Faber-Castell Gold Faber sketch markers, which are alcohol markers. So pencil, paper, eraser, pencil, eraser, paper. If you love to do any type of line work, then bring a black archival, you know, maybe a pigment liner and whatever you would like to color. But like I said, I'm using alcohol markers, so that's going to be our class for tomorrow. 5 o'clock Central Time and then 6 o'clock Eastern Time. All right. So thank you all so much for joining. I'll see you again tomorrow at 5. Bye, everybody.